Hi friends, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Jay. I share things related to BPD, recovery, healing, life, neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, the whole shabam. You got it. Today we're going to talk about something super hard to navigate. Splitting on a loved one and what to do after that has happened. If you're anything like me, the post-guilt split hits so hard. After the post-split guilt, it's like, now what do you do? How do I fix this? Trust me, I've been there. So this seat is for you. Have a seat. Let's talk through this step by step. You all comfortable? Okay, cool. The first things first, what is splitting? Splitting is a defense mechanism where people with BPD and sometimes other people, you see things, people, objects, careers as all good or all bad. Black and white thinking can happen to a wide range of people. It really does not just apply to people with BPD, but there is different terminology. Splitting is also known as black and white thinking as well. There's no middle ground. There is no gray area. It's a black and white way of thinking that happens when we're usually emotionally overwhelmed, triggered, or the odds are just not in our favor sometimes. Sometimes we're just having a really shit day, okay? Sometimes it can be tied to fears, abandonment, rejection. There really is a wide spectrum of things that can induce splitting. Idealization and devaluation are two extremes of splitting. Idealization happens when you put someone on a pedestal. They're perfect. They are the most perfect person in the world. They can't do anything wrong and they can't do no harm, and they feel like you're absolute safe person. Devaluation is when that flips. It's the opposite. It's like suddenly they feel distant, hurtful. They never loved us in the first place. Sometimes they can even feel like the enemy, like they are the reason we're going through all this. Their smallest action can literally be all the proof we need that they don't love us, they're gonna leave, they hate us, and so forth. So the splitting is the process that swings you between these extremes, but it's not because we want to. Like, I don't want anyone to ever think that. And when people are automatically like,
oh yeah, splitting only happens because someone triggers you into doing it.
That's not always the case. It's our brain's way of protecting us from any sort of perceived abandonment, rejection, or just straight up emotional pain. It's intense, it's overwhelming, and afterwards we usually feel shattered. This isn't for everyone, but for me, splitting is a very daunting and draining thing to go through. It takes so much energy out of me. Going from one emotional extreme to the other, it's so exhausting. Okay, so now you split. Now what do we do? Now, where do we go from here? In the immediate aftermath, it's so tempting to want to sit in the shame, to want to sulk, to want to just continue to feed into the thought patterns that we're currently dealing with. But pause. The most important thing right now is grounding yourself. When you're still in that post-split space, your emotions are still running high. You're likely to feel regret, shame, fear, confusion, and probably not even thinking about trying to calm yourself down right now in this part. But the best thing you should do is take a few deep breaths. You can even try box breathing. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. I know it sounds cliche, but regulating your nervous system is always step 1. You can also try a grounding exercise. You can do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can taste, 1 thing you can touch. I even like to do my surroundings. What are 5 red things around me? What are 4 blue things around me? 3 green things around me? 2 purple things around me? And 1 pink thing around me. But you can also change up the color scheme as well. The goal here isn't to ignore your feelings or ignore the split, but to create enough space and time between the split and your response so you can think and respond clearly and properly. And once you've calmed down a little, my favorite DBT skill I like to use is check the facts. So that's what you gotta do. Splitting distorts everything, making it really black and white. So now we gotta gently ask ourselves, what triggered me? Did this person really hurt me, or am I just reacting to my perceived fear of abandonment? Am I interpreting their actions through the lens of my previous faced trauma? Or did what actually happen, or is my perspective of it currently a little skewed right now? And by doing that, sometimes you might have to bring in a third party, just ask them, be like, hey, am I thinking right? Like, is this a good way of thinking? Is this irrational? Like, can you help me out with this? I'd like to just let them know that I am currently, a little triggered right now, and I just want to make sure this is the right way to go about the situation. And I'm not making it worse in any sense. This step is hard because you really have to sit there and like be in tune with yourself and be brutally honest with yourself. I think that's the scariest part. Nobody likes to be honest with themselves, but it really is key to understanding what's going on in the moment and how can we get through it. Now, when it comes to reaching out after a split, this is the part that gets tricky. This is the part that gets tricky because timing, tone, and just the way you do it is everything, okay? And if you are still emotionally charged up, don't even think about it. Give yourself some more time. You do not want to respond when you're still dysregulated. And when you're ready, you can always lead with accountability. Something along the lines of, hey, I had some time to reflect, and I realized I acted in a way that really hurt you. And I'm really sorry for that. I was feeling overwhelmed and acted out of fear, and that's not fair to you. You have to acknowledge without trying to justify it at all. This shows your loved one that you're taking responsibility and accountability, and you saw that what happened was not okay. Now, believe me when I say rebuilding trust after a split on someone, ooh, it doesn't happen overnight. You or your loved one might need some more time to process. And yes, I have my calf out bathing in the sun. Taking time to process is okay. Like, there's nothing wrong about that. Give them the space if they ask for it. You never want to have to make someone demand you to give them space. Be consistent and show through your actions that you're aware of your patterns and you're committed to working on changing them. And be patient with yourself too. That's extremely important. Splitting isn't something that just goes away or something you can just fix. It's something you learn to manage with time, patience, awareness, understanding, and reflection and compassion. And please remember, you're not a bad person just because you deal with splitting. This is unfortunately a part of living with BPD. What matters most is how you handle things after the fact. Take this as an opportunity to not only learn more about yourself, but also to remember to practice more self-compassion, because you are so important and we need to acknowledge that more often. Thank you guys for spending your time with me, my loves. If this video helped, don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to share your experience in the comments as well, because we are all in this together. Be gentle with yourself. Me and my Kuromi emotional support bear love you endlessly.